Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we get into today's episode, I want to talk about one of my biggest failures in detailing. And one of my biggest failures, and I think one thing that really came back to bite me in the butt later on, and one thing that I'm slightly embarrassed by, but it's okay because we can all learn from our mistakes, right? And that was I never kept a centralized database of my clients' information, including their cell phone, their address, their the detail that they last had, how much I charged for that last detail. And a lot of that is because of when I started. I like to blame it on that, even though it's an excuse. There was no easy system to do that. So I had to keep a calendar and a physical calendar. And I wasn't aware of any technology at the time. This is back in 2008 that made it easy to do something like that, to keep track of what customer had what service done in the past and how much they paid and blah, 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 blah. So all that. Now, having that information is crucial for times that you may be slow or slow down. You can go through that digital Rolodex or physical Rolodex, if you will, of clients and customers that you can follow up with, and say things like, hey, it was, last June when you had this detail done. It's probably a good time to come in and do a maintenance detail, or you could send them a thank you postcard, or you can do all sorts of really cool things when you have your list or your database, or you have a way to store your client information. It's really, really powerful. And in fact, I think it's one of the main reasons why we see detailing equipment go so cheap on things like OfferUp and Craigslist, is because detailers think their only asset is their equipment, when really their equipment isn't that much of an asset unless you're using it, right, to make money. But your customer database is really your asset. So, but how do you, sure, you can have like an Excel spreadsheet, you can keep it in Square, you can keep it in QuickBooks, you could keep it in a physical calendar, right, or a physical journal, and those may all work. But for me, I like to kind of make my workflow efficient, both detailing a car and in business. And so I need something that's quick, searchable, automated as much as possible. And that's why I teamed up with House Call Pro. And if you go to housecallpro.com/ADP, you're going to get a free demo and a discount. And you can see all the wide variety of features that they have. But what it has, the gist of it, and the feature that I love the most, is it helps create a centralized database of your clients, their services. You can add special notes. You could add pictures. You could add all kinds of cool stuff. You can automate postcards that get sent out to them after they've completed a service. You could text them. You could text them that you're starting a job, that you're completing a job. If you have workers, that's how you can manage their time. And they're constantly coming out with new features. Anyway, it's not the whole point of this podcast. I just wanted to encourage you guys to go to housecallpro.com/ADP. If you go to that website versus just to housecallpro.com, it'll help me by telling them that you found out about them through me. So I appreciate that a lot. And so, yeah, get a centralized database of your clientele. Whether you end up using House Call Pro or you use some other service, the main tip on top of this podcast is to just have that list, have that database, and so that you can kind of reach into that at any given time, because it's a lot easier to sell to a customer that you've already sold with versus trying to find a new customer and win them over for that first initial sale. So housecallpro.com/ADP. Enjoy this episode. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 431 of the Auto Detailing Podcast. I hope you guys are all doing well during this pandemic. Anyway, I thought it'd be really cool to bring back on Paul Frasco. Paul, welcome back with Pro and Local Detailing. I almost said mobile detailing, but you're mobile and fixed, or not mobile, whatever. But it used to be mobile detailing, right? Or was it
Yeah,
never?
yeah. I started in my driveway, so I guess I started fixed, sort of, and then went mobile, and then went. I did everything.
There we go. And that's kind of the gist of what we're going to talk about today. And I can't help but think that there's some detailers out there that are getting hit worse than others with this pandemic and this whole thing going on. And so one thing, Paul, that you've always been strong with, and something that I think you have a background in even, and that we've always brought you on the show for, is to these crazy ideas, from a car show to just all kinds of really different ideas. And one thing I talk about a lot in the Detailer Inner Circle is looking to outside industries to get marketing ideas. And I think that's something that you do well too. So tell us kind of what's been happening during the pandemic for you and what you've been doing to combat that, and kind of hopefully it'll spur some ideas and opportunities for other detailers out there.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, first, thanks for having me back on the show again. It's always good to talk to you.
Sorry, it took us a month to get it going.
Yeah, we were both like playing phone tag and insanely busy, but it is what it is, you know.
We're here now. It's all that matters.
So yeah, with the whole pandemic thing, obviously it has affected everyone in some way, some some good, some bad, and different levels of affecting people's businesses. But I feel bad for anyone that had to close their business. That sucks. I wish wish they could have kept it going and fought through it. But I personally don't know of anyone. I don't know if you know anyone, but that's terrible if it took some people's businesses out.
I know a few. Yeah. Huge bummer.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe in a couple of years, I hope they find the strength to try it a second time. Don't give up.
Yep.
But
totally.
But yeah, definitely affected everyone in some way or another. But with me, a lot of people that I talk to, they were in the same situation I was in, where we were in the process of expanding our business. Obviously, the economy was doing awesome, and detailing was blowing up even more every year. I feel like detailing has gotten more popular every single year. And I was in the process of expanding. Just moved into a new shop, like 3 times the size of the one I had in 2019, and we moved in there right in December this year. So did that. I bought a second van a year ago, and we were putting getting ready to get that all ready to go for mobile detailing. So we were going to have 2 vans on the road. So I was dumping money into that, trying to get that fully wrapped and equipment installed in it and everything. And we were growing our team too, with trying to hire another employee or two. And we still had our second location that we were working at. So we were just growing it. And then obviously with that, you have some business debt. We had a small business loan and some credit card debt that we had just from the expansion that, I had full confidence we were able to pay it back once the spring hit. And, once everything was shut down, it was a pretty scary moment. For the first, it was like March, for me, it was like March 17th, 18th.
Yep.
Right around that time. And the whole rest of March was like dead. Like even the day I was supposed to be shut down, I still had details. I was finishing up the last couple of cars. I closed for like a day, but I'm not gonna curl up in a ball and
right.
and be like, oh, the world's ending. I was still paying attention to what was going on, and I was still trying to be as safe as possible for me and my customers and employees. But I basically had to downsize because of it, because of all the outstanding business debt we had, and the size we were at. If you have no cash flow, what are you supposed to do? So I just we waited it out for a couple weeks, and after right when the shutdown started, it was like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks that we were like really completely dead, like only a couple cars here and there trickling in. And I was going to do them. I didn't close. I was able to find some paperwork and talk to some people and apply with the state to say that I'm essential because of some certifications that I got and things like that. I was just kind of fluffing it up and making it sound good and trying to keep my business going and, just adapting to the situation. And so I stayed open. I started, I decided to close the shop because I didn't want customers inside. And and we didn't know if cops would be coming by to check on businesses and make sure they're closed. Every place was different.
Totally. You had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah, it was weird. So, felt like it was like communist country. It was strange.
Serious.
So, but yeah, I was just trying to stay on top of it and learn as much as I can and adapt to the situation. And so, I had to let my employees go temporarily. I said, obviously when things are back to normal, which, at the time we thought it was maybe a couple weeks. Everyone thought it was a couple weeks. I was like, yeah, we'll come back to work. We'll pick up where we left off. And then it kept going into April. And, at that point I was like, all right, just get on unemployment if you need to. Go get another job that's open, go work at Amazon, go work at Costco. Those places are going to be open, but I don't want you guys to lose money that you need to pay rent and things like that, because we have no cars. We slowed down a lot significantly. Right. So, I can't just, we're in process of expanding. We're still only a few years old business wise. So it's like, I didn't have a ton of money saved up and different things like that. And the whole PPP thing, those SBA loans, all that stuff, I didn't have a good feeling about them. I kind of, with a lot of things, I go with my gut feeling, and it was I feel like there was some fine print with it. It was kind of rushed, and it almost sounded too good to be true.
It did seem very rushed. Like I understand that there was a immediate need, but it was like, wait, how can they put this together so quickly?
Yeah, it just didn't feel right. And,
right.
And I already had a business loan. I was like, I'm not going to get a second loan to dig myself out of this
right.
hole. So I didn't feel good about it, so I stayed away from it. I didn't apply. I just stayed far away from that stuff. And I was like, I'm just going to work my ass off and try to, dig myself out of this hole and save the business, and then just adapt to the situation. So that's what me and my partner Chris did. We the guys had to just go find some jobs or apply for unemployment, whatever, whatever they had to do. And I said, if we have some extra work, like a couple days a week, maybe we'll call you. But for right now, you're better off finding, full-time work at a place that's hiring. All the grocery stores were hiring like crazy. So that's what they did. They both got jobs and they were doing good. And our goal was to pay off the business debt ourselves over the next few months. Because at that point, it was like April, almost, heading towards May. We're like, all right, we'll just focus on the mobile detailing and put all the money, a lot of this money towards our business loan and get all this debt paid off. Because I was like, what if there's a second outbreak in the fall, like they were talking about? What if there's a second shutdown? What if it gets worse and worse? I was preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. And with business debt, if I have no cash flow, no details, we're kind of a luxury business.
Right.
We're not really a necessity. We can be essential in some degree with sanitizing and things like that. But, I was like, well, I might have to file bankruptcy and get rid of the van and all this stuff I worked 10 years to build. If I can't, if everything's shut down, I'm still going to owe the money to the bank,
Right. Right.
So my goal was, all right, let's get the debt paid off. And if things get real bad, Chris and I can get a job somewhere. I can park the van or do jobs on the side, and then if things start to get back to normal in 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it is, I'll quit that job and I'll pick up where I left off and, just keep going. But I didn't want to lose anything. So that was the goal. And fast forward to now, we got all of our business debt paid off completely. We don't owe a cent.
During all this.
Yeah, like the whole summer, because now what are we? It's almost September. It's like the end of August, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I paid off the business loan, paid off all that stuff, and I'm getting ready to get my employees back, probably sometime in the fall or the winter. And but we're gonna kind of keep an eye on the whole pandemic thing and in the election and see how that stuff goes.
So what did you do, even though obviously you contracted and kind of thinned out your operations to make sure you were cutting costs where you could, right? And where you could afford to, but was there anything after those initial couple weeks when it kind of slowed down? Did it just begin to, obviously it sounds like it began to kind of stabilize and normalize a little bit?
Yeah. So
Did you do anything different during that time?
so um, normally before the pandemic, we do mobile and fixed location. We were like 75% at the shop and 25% mobile. It was kind of like our business. We would do maybe 1 or 2 cars a day mobile, maybe 3, and then at the shop we'd have anywhere from 3 to 6 cars at the shop every day. So it was definitely more at the shop, and mobile would be every morning, and then we go to the shop and finish up for the day, and just do every day like that. Um, we'd have multiple people split up. You know, um, but once everything was shut down, when I decided to just close the shop for a month or two, we were just kind of setting up an imaginary date for like May. Sometime in May, we were gonna maybe open the shop back up, depending on how things go. But I really focused on the mobile detailing because people were home. People were working from home. They were staying inside.
Mm.
So I used my email list. I got a couple thousand clients on there. Which email is so important. I just put together a little advertising campaign with multiple emails and Facebook videos. I had my video guy come in and do a couple of videos of us like sanitizing interiors and
Mm-hmm.
doing the ozone generator, and we had our respirator masks and all that stuff, PPE. And we were just kind of focusing on the mobile detailing and really advertising that, adapting to the situation. People are home, so you adapt. Okay, we're going to come to you. You're home. I kind of pitched it like, you're home anyway. You still need your car cleaned. We can
Right.
also kill some germs. I never made a guarantee that I'm killing a virus, but
Right.
it's better than nothing. So I would say,
Well, and the research and studies done on ozone are, it's very, very clear that when done safely, and it's pretty safe actually, it does kill viruses, right? So
yeah,
you don't really need to say anything. People can do their research on it.
yeah, exactly. But you don't want to make a claim.
Totally. You don't want to open yourself up to
Yeah.
unnecessary lawsuits.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of stayed neutral and kind of watched what I said, but I was like, if you want your car cleaned outside or inside, we're here to do it, and we don't plan on closing, and we even got some approval by the state, so we're fine. So we just went to a lot of people's homes and our regular clients, and then we picked up some new clients, obviously, just from the little bit of Facebook and Google ads and the videos, things like that we were focusing on. And that really worked. Like and I made a sense of urgency. I created a sense of urgency saying like, April is almost full or May is almost full for appointments. We probably had like 30 appointments available.
Open.
Um, maybe 30 available out of the 100 cars that we can handle a month, or
Right.
I'm just throwing numbers
Yeah,
out,
yeah. You had plenty of
but
room on schedule, but still added,
I'd say, oh, there's only 15 appointments left
Sure,
available.
right.
Get on the schedule now. There's nothing wrong with that, but you know, people see that and they're like, oh, I got to call them. I got to get on the schedule, and it works.
Yep.
So especially when the pressure's on, you definitely
Yep.
make
Gotta
things
do what you
happen.
gotta do. Totally.
So that kind of filled our schedule up, and we were booked like a month out, which
Whoa.
that hasn't happened since before I had employees. That's why I hired them in the first place. So
Right.
wouldn't be so booked up and lose jobs every day because people didn't want to wait 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Imagine that.
so that's what we did. Yeah, we just went to people's homes, and then and that worked out. At the same time, in April, we got a phone call from our local police department, which we already kind of had a connection with them. They wanted their cars detailed like quarterly, um, and but we never did anything for them yet. We were talking about it back in January.
And how did those talks initially start? They reached out to you, or have you
Yeah,
reached out to them?
just right place at the right time.
Got
So
it.
we sponsored the local hockey team, the AHL Thunderbirds, and we would set up a table in the hallway, and just talk to people at the game. And we had a commercial play during the game and all that stuff. So
Got
we
it.
were there at all the big home games, and um, and the officer, there was a couple cops there at every game. The officer that was there happened to be, it's just the perfect scenario. I got so lucky, extremely grateful for this to happen. But he's like a car guy, and he was also the manager of the fleet for the police department. And he was the one there doing the he was kind of like the crossing guard and kind of like making sure everyone was safe at the
Got
game.
it. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And so that was the little extra overtime he was picking up or whatever. But yeah, he was in charge of the fleet, and he would always look at our booth. He'd walk by for a few weeks and look over, and he seemed interested. Seemed like he wanted to have a conversation, but he would never do it. And then finally one day we made eye contact, and he saw our booth, saw my TV playing the commercials, and it just caught his eye, and he finally was like, all right, I got to talk to this guy. And he came over, and we just started talking about cars, and he was saying how he's got a Chevelle and a Mustang, and he wants them cleaned and all this stuff. And then he asked about the cruisers. He said they used to have a guy years ago, and they want to get back on that type of thing and having the cars detailed every 3 to 6 months, the cruisers. And I said, yeah, that sounds great. He told me what to do, go to the town hall and fill out some paperwork to be a vendor for the city. And so I just did that, and we just kept in contact. And then it sounded like he wanted to start in the spring, once all the snow was gone and everything. And then the pandemic happened, obviously. So then that was put on hold for a little while. And then I think after a couple weeks went by, people started to kind of calm down a little bit. And then I got a call from him, and he was like, yeah, never mind the wash and waxes. How about, he's like, what about interiors? Do you do disinfectant and things like that? Like we need something like that for the cruisers. And I was like, yeah, of course. And that's how we got it. He's
Like
like, all right.
whatever you need, I'm there.
Yeah. He's like, send me an estimate. He's like, I have to shop it around and get a couple quotes from places.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, I want you to be the one to do it. So just so you know, the quote I got was like $75. So if you can beat that, you pretty much got it. So I just sent him a quote for like $70, and
Got it. To disinfect the insides.
Yeah, just to do, we briefly talked about it, but, and then he was like, yeah, once you come in, we'll kind of show you what we want.
Mm.
And so, yeah, just like a steam clean, wipe, disinfect all the highly touched areas, and a light cleaning on the inside. And, we're talking like 20 minutes a car,
Right.
And then the officers wipe the cruisers down in between shifts. But I pitched it I was like, well, this would be really good to do because disinfectant is going to work. It's going to help, but it's only going to work so much. You really need to clean the vehicle first, and then you disinfect it. If you got to get all the dirt and junk out of the way, and then the disinfectant will be so much more effective.
And what were you using for disinfectant? Sorry to interrupt.
I just contacted one of my local chemical suppliers. I got a couple.
Got it. Okay.
He has a lot of Ardex and Castle products. I think Castle's more of a janitorial company, but they have a ton of good stuff. And we ended up, I just asked him what he has. And I said, the big thing is I want to make sure it's an EPA registered disinfectant, has the number and everything in case they want that.
Mm-hmm.
And some companies do ask to see, they want to know that you're using a legitimate disinfectant.
Especially something like the police department or a government,
so
entity.
So yeah, he's like, yeah, I got this Castle disinfectant. I don't know the name of it. I forgot. Yeah, it had like a couple numbers in the name, but I was like, yeah, give me give me a couple gallons of that, and we'll start off using that stuff, and I'll order more as I need it. And that's what we were using, something from Castle, and I think Ardex had one too. We got a gallon of that. It was called like 360 something disinfectant. So yeah, that's what we were doing. But he was like, yeah, you make a good point that you have to clean the surface first. So I told him, we're gonna use some all-purpose cleaner and some steam clean the areas and then disinfect them after, because the disinfectant will be a lot more effective and ozone the cars, and then your officers can just wipe them down with disinfectant after they use them, and that's going to be great for maintenance. And we come, weekly or monthly or whatever you want, and we'll help you guys stay safe, and it'll keep our business going. So it was a win-win.
That's a great idea. And there is I'm trying to remember the name. I had a city police department contract one time, and they made me go through a bid. I think it's called planetbids.com. And you can actually sign up. I think it's free even, because I still get the emails. I'm trying to think of people that want to maybe start doing like police cars or Planet. I'm trying bids. If they don't have a strong visibility in their area like you did, and they don't have a hockey team to sponsor, haven't done all the other different marketing that you do, where they can go and just add themselves onto a vendor list. It's not planetbids.com.
I've never heard of it, but that sounds like a good idea.
But you can sign up as a vendor, and then you get notified when because like you said, a city or a county will put out that they need something if they don't know anyone and you don't have an inside person, which is always the best way to do it, but you can sign up on it is Planet Bids. I don't know if it's .com, but anyway, online bidding and vendor registration. And you could basically, it's a centralized online bidding system.
For like the whole country, basically?
So all these different counties and cities and districts can sign up, because it's a way for them to find people as well.
Yeah. So pretty much everywhere in the country can sign up, and
exactly
they say what they want, and then it'll search, and then you'll get notified, and you just put in a bid, and
exactly.
Like a cool idea.
Exactly. So people are hearing, you speak, and they're like, man, that sounds awesome. That's consistent. I mean, I was going to say there's no cop cars going away anytime soon, but don't speak too fast. But the government.
I was at the department during a protest cleaning the car.
Jeez.
That was kind of awkward.
Yeah, a little bit. But how about this? Government entities aren't going away anytime soon. So that Planet Bids could be a good source to kind of, at least maybe there's no available jobs to bid on in your local area right now, but could be coming up. And once you register as a vendor, you get notified when cities and municipalities put out a bid. So that's a cool thing.
No effort. I mean, you just got to fill out a couple forms or something. Maybe pay a few bucks and see what you get. So why not do it? You can always say no if you don't want the job.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
I'll have to check that out. That's cool, but that's a great idea. But I was going to say about the police department.
And you still continue to do that?
Yeah. So their fiscal year was up in July, and they had to like reassess their budget, and the city, they were making cuts to the budget, and then they ended up. So we, for a period of time, like a 2-week period, we weren't there in July, and they thought that they weren't going to be able to continue it, but he really pushed for it, and then they were able to guarantee that, the money they're spending on disinfecting the cruisers and things like that, they're getting some of that from the state and federal, some reimbursement from it.
Interesting. Okay.
So so then they were able to. It kind of it had to go through, the town and the city and all those people had to, approve it, and then they were able to give me the green light and like, oh yeah, you can keep doing this. So, and then they had to redo their budget. So then they approved, a whole nother purchase order of X amount of dollars for me to keep going. And then, I just bill them with the purchase order number, and they subtract it. And then once we run out of money, they got to submit for more money. And that's what we did from April till now, pretty much.
And that's, not mailbox money, but that's pretty solid money,
Yeah.
Or helps with cash flow, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was great with cash flow. We could knock out like 8 to 10 cruisers, and half it, like we'd be there from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. and we'd get like 10 cruisers done. And it was like $70 each. And then we'd go do a couple other cars right after that. And it really helped us pay down a lot of our debt. And now we're debt free, and I can't lose the business because I don't owe money to anyone.
Right.
If things shut down and the economy tanks, I might have to get a job, and I'm okay doing that. I don't,
right.
I have pride and stuff, but I'm not afraid to have to go be an employee for a little bit. It is what it is.
Right.
But at least I won't lose everything I've worked so long to build.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think one other thing about the police departments is, because I was going to reach out to them back in March and April when this whole thing happened. They just beat me to it. They called me. But I was going to reach out because I heard some kind of webinar. I forgot where I heard it. It was saying that if you're non-essential, for detailing companies, if you're non-essential, but the CDC said you can be considered essential if like 60% of your work is for EMT or police, if you're detailing those vehicles, then you're okay. You won't get a ticket or fine or whatever for operating when you're not supposed to be. And
got it.
So that was kind of part of the reason why I was focusing on the police departments, because I was like, if I ever get caught or something,
right.
At least I can have that work to do. And in the enterprise, account, the rental cars, those slowed down a lot, but they were still, there were still a few that they were calling me about. So then, the mobile detailing of regular customers, that started to pick up. And then it was the summer, and slowly some of the ceramic coating started to come back in. We opened our shop back up in May, probably like halfway through the month. I don't remember the date, but we opened that back up. We just didn't allow customers to come back inside. We just told them to use the drop box and text us when their car is there. We'll do payment at the end and greet them at the end of the job, or we can do it contactless. They can just pay with Venmo or PayPal or whatever. So that's kind of how we did it for the summer. I would just do what the customer is comfortable with. If they wanted to talk in person, I would do that. If they wanted me to wear a mask, I would do that. If whatever they wanted to do, whatever made them feel comfortable is what I was doing. If they wanted me to just leave the keys in the cup holder and they wanted to pay me over the phone, that was fine too. So, yeah, now we're just like slammed with work, and I need my employees back. Can't keep up with everything now. Like it's weird.
That's awesome. I think the overarching theme is this, that you have to be able and willing to adapt to different circumstances. And I think actually as detailers, we're good at that. And
Oh yeah,
because we have to troubleshoot so often through a car, sometimes
yeah,
multiple times through a
especially,
car,
especially the mobile guys,
especially, right? Weather.
because you have a lot more variables like weather and things like that that you got to troubleshoot and figure out.
But if you can troubleshoot through that, and then I think through the troubleshooting, you find some hacks like either the police cars or different things like that that can really help propel you. And then it's all about, I look at it like it's just all about weathering the storm, right? And it sounds like you were pretty much able to weather the storm, and now it's coming back for you, and then sometimes it comes back even more and faster.
Yeah,
which can present its own challenges as well. But then again, you adapt again, right? And figure it
yeah,
out from there. Bring your employees back or whatever.
yeah. And it's, it. I wish it never happened, but
100%, right?
at the same time, I'm kind of glad it did. Even though it sounds kind of weird,
Yeah, no, I get it.
but it was a really good stress test
Yep.
for my business.
Mm.
So
And it makes you rethink how you do things sometimes. Like, do I need that? Like, it kind of helps. It's almost like an ego check for your business, you know?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
are we doing good? Am I not doing good? What's going on? It's a good check. It's like a
Yeah,
check in.
yeah,
Reconcile everything, reconcile.
yeah. And then one thing I forgot to mention,
Yeah.
when we were talking about the police department,
Mm-hmm.
is so I just got lucky, it being the major city in our area,
Mm-hmm.
getting that account. You know, all the other police departments kind of look at what they do as an
Got
example
it. Interesting.
and kind of get advice from them or kind of watch what they do and then they copy. Um, because it's the biggest department. They have,
Sure.
he said they have like, counting all the motorcycles and the cruisers and the vans and trucks, they have over 400 vehicles. Um, and then like the next town over only had 17 vehicles in their fleet. So, it depends on, every town's a little different based on the size and the population and all that stuff. But um, we were able to get some referrals from the first department we had, and we ended up getting like 7 other police departments that were interested, and we picked up an additional 3 out of those 7 after they went through their budgets and all that stuff, approvals. We ended up picking up, so we had 4 police departments for the whole summer that we were doing
Whoa.
all the cruisers.
That
Um,
helps. That's
yeah,
good filler work.
yeah. So that was, extremely grateful for that. That was a huge uh, thing to help us, get a bunch of money real fast
Yep.
and pay off the debt and save the business. And it was a really good test. Um, really good lesson to learn how to adapt and stuff like that. And also, if you're expanding your business, you might want to do it. You can be aggressive, but at the same time, you got to think long term and play it safe too. So I should have expanded the business a little differently, and had a little more cash reserves.
Hmm.
Sometimes you can grow too quick, and that can hurt you
I
as
think
well.
that's I think that's also a killer business, right? It's trying to, it's really difficult to expand and grow
Yeah,
because it does take a lot of cash, and you definitely do have that time that it's like, ooh, like I'm low on cash. Hopefully something comes through before something bad happens.
yeah,
Love it,
exactly.
man. I love it. I think this has been awesome. You nailed exactly what I wanted to do. I just wanted to give detailers some, tips and tricks and maybe even just encouragement, to just keep going, just weather the storm a little bit if you got to. But I know a lot of detailers shut down in the beginning, but it's kind of seems, at least on Facebook and who I've been talking to, that a lot of them are getting back. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping I'm hoping that it's getting back to normal. If people want to contact you, pick your brain, waste your time, do whatever, how can they get in contact with you?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to reach out, you can just find me on Facebook or Instagram. It's Pro and Local is the Instagram, spelled out PROANDLOCAL. And Facebook is like the same thing. Or you can just find me, Paul Frasco, on Facebook and send me a message. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or anything like that. Any way I can help fellow detailers out.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you.
All right, awesome. Thanks.